So thank you all for coming. What we're going to do tonight is really just run through the itinerary. The whole idea is to get you a little bit excited about what's involved on a tour like this. We've been doing these tours for 10 years. They are always customised, so we always have a leader, such as Stephen and Melinda, who escort you from Australia, because the Israeli guides are licensed guides. They have a kind of broad knowledge of the historical, the political, the geographical, and sometimes the theological history, but it can be lacking in substance in some of those areas. So we find it's really great to have an Australian person lead the group that also can care for you pastorally. If you're travelling on your own, they can kind of look out for you, make sure that you've kind of got somewhere to go for dinner and do all those bits and bobs that seem sort of trite now, but when you get to the other side of the world, it's actually, yeah, that's right. No pressure for you to find a good restaurant. What we always do with these trips is start with the elephant in the room, which is safety and security. Obviously, travelling anywhere in the world now is considered to be risky. Getting in your car is considered risky, but we have an amazing relationship with the ground operators that we use in both Israel and Jordan. We use a Jordanian company and an Israeli company. The Israeli company is a Judeo-Christian company, so they have a Jewish owner and a Christian owner. And the Jordanian is a very dear friend of mine who has been in tourism his entire life and is an incredibly gifted business operator who has the best guides in Jordan. We have such a quality relationship with these guys that in the event that something happened between now and when your tour was due to depart, if there was a terror attack or there was a war between the Israelis and the Palestinians that has escalated to a point like it did in 2014 where they had the 100-day war, Mission Travel will cancel the tour without hesitation and we will refund you your money. So we had this happen in 2014. We had 5 tours scheduled over the 100 days of the war. 3 of the 5 tours we had sent the money to Israel and Jordan in advance, and they sent every dollar back to us. So that is the relationship and that is the commitment that we have with them. We're more like family. If I go to Jordan, I go and have dinner at Moose's home with his wife and with his kids. You know, their hospitality of the Middle East is unbelievable. If you've never been, it's quite unsurpassed. But the reality is, the arrangement we have with them is that if it is not safe, we will cancel the tour and you will get your money back. Airlines are very good. They will, as you know, Peter, with Turkey, they'll give you a period of time where they say, if you decide you don't want to go, we're going to give you your money back. And as I say, the tour operator will do the same. So please don't let the uncertainty of the world influence your ability to make a commitment now, because I'm giving you this, and it's just purely something that we do as a business. It's obviously not good for my business. Yeah, it was a very, and to be honest, we're still recovering from that 2 years later, you know, but that is the reality, that I don't think that we could offer these sorts of trips if we didn't have something like this where we are committed to saying. Now, this is different to you saying, oh, I saw something on the TV, I saw something on a current affair. That's different. Mission Travel and Stephen Hale and Melinda Dwight need to agree that it's unsafe and we cancel the tour. Now, we're not going to send you to a war zone. We're way more sensible than that. But people have a different kind of degree of what they consider safe and unsafe. It's a very subjective kind of measure. If it's very clear to us, and our operators are the same, they're not the kind of people that they go, come, and then they cover the phone while the bomb goes off in the background. You know, we don't have that kind of relationship with them. So just be assured that that's not an issue. Oh, it could be. Is it Ross?
Oh,
hello, Ross.
How are you?
Hello, Ross. Come in, mate.
Finding you.
Oh, sorry about that. Oh, did you?
The old one.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So we're going to run through the itinerary and just talk about what the itinerary looks like and what you're doing each day. You'll see on the brochure that we have a cost including airfare and a cost without airfare, and I'll talk about that in more detail shortly. But if you choose to do the tour with the airfare at 6,999, you'll find that we have secured flights with Emirates. We are a fantastic partner with Emirates. It's hilarious that a Muslim Arab airline gives us Christian missionary airfares. That's something that we're still pretty amazed about. But they are a fantastic quality airline. They have an A380 aircraft that flies at 9:25 at night, non-stop to Dubai, which is a long flight. It's a good 15-hour flight. And you get into Dubai at 5:15 in the morning. If you have people coming from Sydney or Brisbane or Perth or Adelaide, obviously Emirates service all of those cities, and the flights all arrive between 5:15 and 5:35 in the morning. When you arrive in Dubai, what we encourage you to do, and we'll talk about this again, we have another meeting about a month before you go and we talk about the imminent kind of details. But we recommend that when you're in Dubai, it's an enormous airport, and Terminal 3 is dedicated just to Emirates. So we encourage you to just find your new gate for the Dubai to Oman flight, know where you are, and then go off and do your kind of shopping, because they don't make announcements, unlike Tullamarine or other airports in the world. So the flight just goes, and we've had many people that have gotten as far as Dubai and then missed the connecting flight to Oman because they're expecting to be called. And there's section A, B and C. All the shops are the same in A as they are in B as they are in C. So enormous. Everything is enormous. And then it's just a short 3.5 hour flight from Dubai, and you arrive into Oman at 9:15 in the morning, feeling quite fantastic, I'm sure. We take you into Oman because A, there's a good range of airlines that fly there, a good range of good quality airlines that fly there, and B, it's a lot easier to cross into Israel by land than into Tel Aviv by air, where they basically, just about strip you naked, and it just takes hours and hours and hours of security to get through. So when you arrive in Oman, if you were able to drive from Oman straight to Jerusalem without a border, it's a 45-minute drive. So geographically, it's actually very, very close. I've got some maps sitting around if you want to grab. If there's no more, I'll grab some more. You'll be able to see from a geographical point of view that Oman is very, very close. And what we basically do to start this tour is we're going to drive north of Oman, 2 hours north to the Sheikh Hussein border, which is also called the northern border. And you cross over into Israel there. It's probably their most sort of modern border. Ian, did you use the Sheikh Hussein when you went last time, or did you go through Allenby Bridge when you crossed over? Oh, you flew in, didn't you? You flew via Istanbul. Yeah. So you do the border crossing into Israel, and then once you've crossed into Israel from the northern border, it's only about a half an hour drive to Tiberias, which is on the Sea of Galilee. I'm sure you've heard of Tiberias from your Bible reading, where you check into the Nof Ginnasar Resort Hotel for the next 3 nights. So that day is basically a travel day. We can't predict how long that border crossing is going to take, so we don't plan anything. So you get into Oman at 9:15. By the time you clear immigration, get on the bus, drive 2 hours to the border, it'll be lunchtime. We serve lunch that day so that you don't need to worry about it.
Out of the bus on one side and then
Yep.
cross over and...
The northern border you don't have to walk or do anything, but there is there is a no man's land between the two.
Tris ran a tour once with Heather Garrett. And she insisted on carrying her bag.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And got halfway and got stopped.
Oh,
Anyway,
Strip search.
and then they had to forcibly take the bags off her so she could get across.
They had Bibles.
She was going to get across no matter what.
there's 3 border crossings by land. There's the northern border, Sheikh Hussein. There's another one called Allenby Bridge, which we do use because geographically it's very close to Amman Airport, but it's also the Palestinian border crossing, so there can be significant delays there. If you're looking for the northern border on the map, it's up the top near Beit Shean, or Beit Shan. If you can see that, it'll show you where you are. So on Sunday morning, obviously after a decent night's sleep and a rest, you'll be spending the day on the Sea of Galilee. This is a really fantastic day. What we've tried to do in the planning of this trip is work as best we can with the chronology of Jesus. Obviously it would make sense to go to Bethlehem first, but it is a Palestinian territory and it's not that easy to get to in one day from the border, so we're kind of going to go back to that. But this first day on the Sea of Galilee, you'll visit this amazing first century boat that they have found buried in the mud on the Sea of Galilee in the last 40 years or so. And all of the testing and stuff that they've done has established that it is a first century fishing boat that was found. And even the video and the presentation in the museum of how they excavated the boat out of the mud is just phenomenal. It is in incredible condition. Yeah, it's really special. So it's a really great way to start your visit. And in fact, that museum is on the property of the kibbutz that you're staying in at Nof Ginosar. So it's just a walk down to the shores of the Sea of Galilee and you're there. And then you actually board a boat. There's a pier there and you take a boat from there to Capernaum, where you disembark and you see the ancient synagogue where Paul would have, Peter would have preached, and also St. Peter's house is there, and they've built this very ugly 70s style church on top of the house, but it's like this spaceship, that kind of 70s Starsky and Hutch style spaceship that sits on top of the excavation of the house, so it's quite funny. You also go to Tabgha, which is the site where the miracle of the loaves and fishes, or the feeding of the 5,000, took place. And it's a really pretty place on the shore of the Sea of Galilee. It's just a lovely grassy hill, and it's a really nice place to stop and do a devotion and have a prayer meeting or some singing, or, you know, you'll be compelled to sing all the way around because it's such a special place. You then continue on to the Mount of Beatitudes, obviously where the Sermon on the Mount was delivered. And the Carmelite nuns have built a beautiful property there with a beautiful garden, lots of scripture in the gardens. You're not allowed to talk, or it's a very quiet and reflective place, and it's a really beautiful. It's set on a hill on the top, overlooking the Sea of Galilee. You also go to the En-Gev kibbutz. I'm pretty sure you've got a St. Peter's fish lunch included in there. I'll have to check that, but it is a bit of a tradition that you enjoy a fish lunch. So if it's not there, I'll chuck it in. Yeah, Ian went last year with John Stewart. So he's... you've got to go again. I was just saying, it's the first time is such an overwhelming experience of all this information, and the second time around is really special. So, yeah, that's great. So this is a really special day, and it's a great first full touring day to be in Capernaum and to be on the side of the Mount of Beatitudes. You know, it really makes the Gospels come alive. It's very exciting. On Monday, we do a bit of a drive out west. And we start with a visit to the town of Sepphoris, which is the hometown of Anne, which is the mother of Mary. And then we visit the very daggy Cana, which is the scene of obviously the miracle of the water into wine. It's full of wine shops and marriage vow renewal places. It's very daggy, very daggy. It's just like, really? And then we go to Nazareth. I really like Nazareth. Nazareth is a Palestinian city, so it's run by Arabs, and therefore it's very grubby and dirty, but very vibrant. The market and everything is really vibrant. And the Church of the Annunciation is probably my favourite church in all of Israel and Palestine, where they have artwork from every country on the earth that depicts mother and child. And the Japanese one is Mary is in a kimono, and baby Jesus is this little Japanese baby. It's fantastic. If you're an art lover, it's a really beautiful site. And then in the afternoon, you go to Nazareth Village, which is this picture at the bottom here. What they've basically done is constructed Nazareth like it would have been in the first century. And it's a functioning farm. So it has an olive press, they have animals, they spin wool and cotton, and they sell the wares to the local community. And it's, you know, at first I heard about it, I thought, oh my gosh, it's like an American theme park for Jesus land, you know, it's going to be really daggy. But it's actually really well done. They all wear first century clothing. You know, they've got the sandals, they've got the headgear. It's brilliant. It's a really, really great way of kind of stepping back into time for a few hours. It's really fantastic. And then at the end of the day, you drive up to Mount Tabor, which gives you a fantastic view right across to the Mediterranean Sea, which is the site of the Transfiguration. And then you head back to Nofginosar in the Galilee for your overnight. So, you know, these days there's a 6-lane freeway to get you from Tiberias to Nazareth. It's quite bizarre. So the contrasts, you know, I think you think that you expect to see people still kind of riding donkeys around, but
Is this
not so
like
much.
a shoulder season, or it's not peak season?
No, it's not peak. Well, it's not peak season, but it will still be reasonably busy because people tend to travel in May and September to avoid the hot summer. So it will still be busy.
What's the sort of the average temperature?
Probably around 25.
So it's
Yeah.
very pleasant.
Yeah, very pleasant.
It's not like July, which is
No, which is 35. Yeah, yeah. Tuesday the 9th of May, this is another great day. This is a very kind of outdoorsy day where you're heading north to the Golan Heights and you travel to Caesarea Philippi, which is as far north as you can go without kind of, you don't want to go to Syria, I'm pretty sure. It's also called Banias, but it's up here on this map. It's a full day trip up there, but it's through the Golan Heights, which is wine territory. I think I've organised for you to stop at a winery. Yes, I have. But it's an interesting place, Caesarea Philippi. It's obviously where the scales drop off Peter's eyes and he says, oh my gosh, you are the Christ. Like he gets it for a minute and a half. And then he goes back to not getting it fairly quickly after that. But it's also a pagan site for the god Pan. And there's a spring, a beautiful spring. Did you go up there, Ian? It's pretty, isn't it?
Fantastic.
Yeah. So it's a very significant place. And also on this day, you go to the Teldan National Park, which is beautiful. Again, it's a big, luscious, lovely national park. And you're just sort of traipsing along, enjoying the forest and the fresh air. And then you go around a bend and there's a Canaanite ruin from 3500 BC in pristine condition, you know. And if you have a good guide, which you will, they'll give you the whole story of, you know, this is the King of Kings and this is what was going on and and the judges and, you know, it's amazing. And it's just all there. It's like going to Mount Dandenong and then there's a Canaanite kingdom in the middle of your national park. It's crazy stuff. And along the way you visit Kursi and Chorazin, which are all towns in the Galilee that Jesus would have preached through. And there's a little stop at a winery there as well. The Israeli wine is really great. They produce enormous amounts of wine and a fantastic variety of wine. And the winery that I hope that they take you to is it's like the Jacob's Creek of Israel. It's a big, or a Penfolds kind of winery. And they have a fantastic map of the different climates and how they plant the Chardonnay there and the Shiraz there. And they have very similar grapes to what we have. And the wine is actually very good. We bought a few bottles of wine and bought them back. So it was great. So it's a big kind of day out that day, and it's a day that you would wear comfortable shoes, comfortable clothes, you're in the outdoors. If it's warm, you take lots of water and sunscreen and stuff like that, but it's a really great day. Then on Wednesday the 10th, another kind of day where you actually are leaving the Galilee this day. So one of the things I really like about this itinerary is that you're plonking in several places for a number of days. So you're not doing this packing your bags, checking out, dragging your suitcase downstairs, in and out, in and out, in and out. So you've got good solid chunks of time in different places, and then you kind of do day trips out from those centres. So you've been based in the Galilee area for 4 days. And then this particular day you go back towards the Mediterranean coast to Megiddo, and then on to, which is the Armageddon of the New Testament, and then to Muraka, and then up to Mount Carmel, and also to the beautiful port city of Haifa. So a busy day visiting all those different sites, and then on to Caesarea, which is on the coast, Caesarea Maritima. So you're going to two Caesareas. You're going to Caesarea Philippi up in the Golan Heights, and then you're going to Caesarea Maritima, which is in between Haifa and Tel Aviv on the Mediterranean coast, which Herod built, you know, an enormous amount of stuff. But I think the most significant thing there, I actually had a meeting with John Dixon the other day, and he was saying Caesarea is the port of missionaries. You know, that's where Paul was sent to Rome from, and most of the apostles after Jesus went back to heaven would have left from Caesarea to go and spread the gospel to all of the different nations. So it is the birthplace of mission, and I thought that was a really great perspective. That's the tunnel, the Ahabis tunnel. You'll see lots of, there's a lot, you know, the whole of Israel is kind of in layers, particularly Jerusalem, where you've got like 6 or 7 layers, and you'll be walking down the Cardo in the old Jerusalem. Did you see this, Ian? And they'd have these big cutouts in the middle of the road or in the middle of the street, and it'd be lit tunnels that go for half a kilometre down. And you know how when you go somewhere on a mountain and they have a compass and it says this far to this place, and this thing gives you the layers of the different generations that have, you know, with Israel, Jerusalem being built one on top of the other. So they've been fantastic in excavating sites and giving you the opportunity to go through and see those places. If there's time on this day, and look, it really isn't if there's time, and I hope that you do get to do it, but if there is time, they'll take you to Jaffa or Joppa, which is the port at Tel Aviv, where Simon the Tanner's house is. Just for a stroll along the boulevard and to see that house, and obviously that's where Jonah kind of took off from. We'll see how you go. It's a big day, this particular day, and during that you would have checked out early in the morning with your bags from Tiberias, and then you'll be checking into your hotel in Jerusalem on the Wednesday night. Our time in Jerusalem, again, I think you have 6 nights in Jerusalem at the one hotel, which is brilliant. We always start our time in Jerusalem with an orientation sitting at the Mount of Olives, and it's just fantastic, isn't it, Ian? It's so great to just sit there and look across at the whole kind of vista that is Jerusalem, and again, the guide will spend some time highlighting the historical, you know, rise and fall of Jerusalem over the various years that have gone past. And it's just great. When you get there, you know, you get dropped off at the Mount of Olives in the coach, and then the coach will disappear, and then they get you to walk down Palm Sunday Road, which is the road where, you know, Jesus was recognised with the palm fronds and the coats being thrown on the road. And at the bottom of that is the Garden of Gethsemane. So it's a really, really significant walk. I found it very emotional to walk. By the time I got to the Garden of Gethsemane, I was a blubbering mess. Along the way, you visit the Church of All Nations, which is the, I can't remember there's another name for it. Oh no, the church is at the Garden of Gethsemane. Along the way, you visit the Pool of Bethesda and St Anne's. Yeah, and St Anne's Church that's right next door. There's another stop on the way there. I can't remember what it is. Is it St Peter in Galakantu? There's some other stop along there. I think might be the next day. Anyway, it's really special. Once you get into the old town, the old quarter, you visit the Ecce Homo Arch, which is a beautiful, we often use it for accommodation as well, and they've got an amazing underground excavation of old Jerusalem there. And they've also got this rooftop where you just have this unbelievable view, and the Dome of the Rock is like there, you know, so you get some fantastic pictures. And then you walk the Via Dolorosa, which is basically the Stations of the Cross. It can be a bit daggy. At first I thought, oh, this is a bit cheesy, you know, the old Catholic background's coming back to haunt me kind of thing, and I thought I'm happy to do it. But there were several stations that were very moving. Some of them were underground and you could just sit quietly in silence. You didn't hear the hustle and bustle of the city and you could just reflect. And then others where it was just, you know, when Jesus stumbled again or things were getting really tough, you just felt, you know, you just feel very overwhelmed. It's really what you make of it. If you want to kind of go down that path and follow in those footsteps, you know, the Holy Spirit can really kind of do a work in you. But there is a cheese factor with all of this, you know, and there's nutbags everywhere that are putting notes in cracks in the walls and dollar bills. And have you heard about the Jerusalem syndrome? Where people come to Jerusalem and then they have this epiphany that they are Jesus reincarnated. And so you have all these crazy people going around, I haven't seen them, but it's evidently a real syndrome where people go to Jerusalem and then they have this idea that they are the Messiah and that they are the returned Jesus. So there's lunatics everywhere. But that's just part of the whole experience. Do you know what I mean? There's the orthodoxy, there's the fanaticism, there's the superstition, and then there's everything else sort of mixed in amongst that, and it's kind of what you take from it that, you know, there's a lot going on. Don't you think, Ian? There's a lot to kind of filter. My two favourite places are the Garden of Gethsemane and the Sea of Galilee, because it's almost like man can't interfere with those sites. The garden is, you should see the olive trees, they're gnarly and old and you can tell that they're thousands of years old. And the Sea of Galilee is the Sea of Galilee, no one can touch it. Whereas in a lot of the other sites, people have built churches on top of everything and people are sticking things in the cracks and carrying on like rat bags. So, you know, that's all part of the excitement and observation that is, you know, what faith looks like. And there's multiple faiths, as you know, all living on top of one another. So you've got Jews with huge hats and, you know, it's just so colourful. Jerusalem is an incredible, incredible city. It's really right up there with the great cities.
It's worth the trip just to go.
Just to go to Jerusalem. Just to go to Jerusalem, no doubt. Of Jerusalem, I'm actually not sure. It's not that huge. It'd probably be a couple of million. It's not massive. And where we stay at the Olive Tree, and I'll talk about the hotel later, is walking distance to the old city. So you can get there on foot. If you're wanting to kind of do your own thing, which I'll encourage you to do, you can get around. It's perfectly safe. It's well lit. There's no issue. The American Colony Hotel, which is the nicest hotel, is like across the street. It's a great place for a drink at the end of the day. It's all there for you. And then at the end of this day, you finish obviously at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is just insanity in itself. A lot of people, I've never even been in there because the queue was just 2 blocks long. I just thought, it's too hard. But some people do want to see it. And then you continue across the road to the Garden Tomb, which is run by the Anglican Diocese of Jerusalem. And it's a beautiful setting, a garden setting where again you can have a communion service. There is a garden tomb. There is a tomb there that's cut out of the rock. According to John Dixon, it's definitely not the location, but it gives you a very good idea of what the tomb would have looked like, and it's a great place for worship. So it's really beautiful. This is a really super day. You'll be just bouncing off the walls after the 11th of May.
800,000.
800,000. So there you go, less than 1 million. Thank you. This is also a great day, Friday the 12th of May. We usually start this day quite early because Friday is the beginning of Shabbat, or the Sabbath. So things tend to close by 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, definitely close by 4. So we tend to start quite early to get you to the Wailing Wall, the Western Wall tunnels, and if we can get you up into the Temple Mount, it needs to be booked. It's very often a 7 a.m. or a 7:30 a.m. booking. So it's an early start, but it's worth it. So we won't know until some months before what those times are and what those bookings look like. The Western Wall tunnels are often filled with water, so you need to be able to roll your pants up and carry your shoes as you wade through those tunnels under the Western Wall, they are often ankle deep in water, which is amazing. Clean water? No, probably not. No, probably not. Yeah, thongs is a great idea. Yeah. So we spend time in the Jewish quarter. We go to the Cardo, which is the Roman kind of Cardo, the burnt house and the Herodian mansion. And as I say, the afternoon is free because a lot of the sites close by 2 o'clock. I encourage you to stay in the Jewish quarter. It is amazing to watch all of the Jews flock to the Western Wall for their prayer time at around 4 o'clock for Shabbat. Hundreds and thousands of people flock in their traditional Jewish, and they sing songs, they say prayers, they read psalms, and you can just stand there and watch them. And I don't know where 3 hours go, but it goes. And then on the way back, you walk through Jaffa Gate and you stop at the Gloria Hotel for a little tipple, and then you go back to the hotel. It's fantastic. So it's a really great free afternoon.
Shut down for the Sabbath. It doesn't shut down for the Sabbath.
Oh, it does, but they've all got to go to the wall to do their prayers before the sun sets, and then they get home in time for sunset. So it's around 4 o'clock. Between 4 and 5:30, it's just crazy. And they're running, you know. They've got to get there. Exactly. And then what's interesting is when we were there last time, as we kind of wandered back, we had our drinks at the Gloria at Jaffa Gate and we were heading back to the hotel. All the Muslims were out in the parks having picnics because it's like, yes, we've got the place to ourselves. All the Jews have gone inside. It's no joke. It's hilarious. All the Muslim families are out having picnics on a Friday night because they've got the whole of Jerusalem to themselves. It's just fascinating. It's utterly fascinating. And then when you get back to the hotel, you'll have the Shabbat dinner. So what happens is a lot of the Jewish families will check into a hotel for the night. It's very common. The dining room will be absolutely jam-packed. It's like a feeding frenzy. They go nuts, but they stand at the table. You know, the father of the house will stand at the table with the prayer book. The children and the mum will be sitting around and he'll say the prayers and he'll do the wine and he'll break the bread, and you're at the next table watching all of this go on. It's just fascinating, absolutely fascinating. So you'll really enjoy it. It's really great to be in Jerusalem on a Friday night to see all of this go on. So you'll enjoy that very much. And then Saturday, because it is Shabbat, again, a lot of the sites are closed. Some sites are open, and you know the guides will be able to tell you what's available to see. But we basically take the opportunity to keep this as a rest day, so that you can kind of do your own thing. It doesn't mean that shops will be closed because the Muslims are still trading. There's other things going on, but museums and other sites will traditionally be largely closed. It is. It really is. It really is. Yeah, that's right. So it's just a rest day. So that's the Western Wall there that you see too. Then on Sunday, there's an 8 o'clock service, English church service at St George's Cathedral, which is just around the corner from the hotel. It's a 5-minute walk.
Where is the hotel again?
The Olive Tree Hotel. It's literally around the corner. It's on Nablus Road. I don't know if you've got a detailed for St George's College. Oh no, you're outside of the old city. Yeah, just outside the Damascus Gate in East Jerusalem on Nablus Road. I don't know if your map will show it there.
What street was it called?
Nablus. But the St George's Cathedral's just around the corner. Did you get there, Ian?
Past it.
Right, because John Stewart loves that cathedral. I'm surprised you weren't there every day. One of our dear friends and clients, Dr. Greg Jenks, is now the Dean of St George's College. So he's been there for about 6 months now, so I'm sure he'd be very excited to know that there's a group of Aussies in the hood, and he'll... Yeah, very strong. He was just here a couple of weeks ago, actually. We had lunch with him here. So anyway, it'll be nice to start the day with an English service at the cathedral. And then we do the City of David, Hezekiah's Tunnel, to the Tomb of the Kings. Now again, this meeting I had with John Dixon the other day, I've learnt so much in like an hour and a half meeting with him. It was ridiculous. But to have the Tomb of the Kings on the itinerary is really great because it was the pagan Queen Helena's tomb, and she was the first aristocracy to convert from paganism to Judaism. And that kind of started the whole movement towards the Judeo-Christian Gentile movement. Amazing. And not very many people visit the Tomb of the Kings, but it is really significant in the Judeo-Christian story, which is great. You also visit the Tomb of David and the upper room, which is the room of the Last Supper, and the Church of the Dormition, which I can't remember what that was signifying, but it's something significant. I can't remember. I'll have to look it up. In the afternoon, you go to the New Jerusalem, which is the kind of 70s to 90s modern city of Jerusalem. It's not, I don't love it, but the Israel Museum is absolutely brilliant. They basically whisk you in there just to see two sites. One is the Shrine of the Book, so you see the Dead Sea Scrolls. And the second temple model of Jerusalem is unbelievable. Did you go there?
Fantastic. How it's done.
Unbelievable. Like, I couldn't believe it's an outdoor replica of the entire city of Jerusalem in 70 AD. The entire thing.
Who lost his son in one of the wars.
It's completely incredible. Incredible. Miniature. But it's huge. It's probably, what, 10 metres by 10 metres? Maybe bigger? I kind of knew about it until I got there. I was like, are you kidding me? It's really fantastic. And then in the afternoon, you also go to the Holocaust Museum, which is in the new city. And then we like to kind of basically dumb it down after that, because depending on what your connections are, the Holocaust Museum can be quite challenging. Yeah. So we basically take you there and then we drop you off, and then we just leave it. We don't do anything after that because it can be quite challenging. On Monday morning, we leave Jerusalem and we travel to the West Bank, and we go first to Jericho. Because you're travelling into Palestinian territory, you will need to take your passport. And once we get to Jericho, which is the oldest city on the earth, you take a cable car up to the top of the Mount of Temptation. There is a monastery up there, so the ladies have to dress very very modestly. Elizabeth, you would not be allowed with that top. They're really strict. They're really strict. So I always...
And does that also mean, like, you couldn't wear full-length pants? Or would have
No, you
to
could wear pants, but just
pants.
not anything above the knee.
Yep.
But
Yep.
you take
Yep.
you take this.
Yep.
You just pack this.
Yep.
Because they're very fussy. I got into trouble. If there's time, we'll take you to the excavations, but you can see them from the top of the Mount of Temptation anyway. Then we hop back in the bus and continue to Bethlehem, which is also a Palestinian territory. Very challenging to go in and out of. You'll see the wall, the checkpoints, and you'll see how the quality of living just takes a massive nosedive when you go into Palestine. I found it quite challenging in that regard. And we're really committed to trying to expose you guys to Palestine and not just Israel. I actually got a dirty email from the Israeli-Palestinian Ecumenical Network expressing intense disappointment at the lack of representation of the Palestinian territories in the Footsteps of Jesus 2017 tour. So I've sent it to them and said, right, here's the Word document. You tell me how to make this more even. You tell me what you want to say, and I'm very happy to consider it because I think it's fair. It's one of those things that I think in Australia we kind of live in the dark about what's going on in Palestine. Until you get there, you go back to your room and you Google and you go, what's going on? What's going on? It's crazy. The standard of living is so poor. And so we like to try and give you a decent amount of time in Bethlehem, but it's a busy itinerary and we don't have a huge amount of time. So the best thing that we think that we can do is, okay, you see the tourist sites. What breaks the Palestinians' hearts is the buses come in, they go to the Church of the Nativity, they go to Shepherd's Field, and then they get back on the bus and they go out. They hate it. So what we do it is a token gesture, but we get you guys to visit the Bethlehem Bible College, which is an incredible place. We've become firm friends with the people there. We've got lots of clients that have actually lived there and volunteered there and run the guest house and done lots of things. But they will provide you with a lunch, and then they will give you a lecture on what's going on. We've put on here that the lecture is Pathways to Reconciliation, but we'll nut out exactly what it is that they're going to cover. We've never had a group that has gone to the lecture and not walked away and said that was unbelievable. And I've learnt so much. We do a lot of Bible colleges, study tours. They all demand that this be part of their experience, and the Australian College of Ministries now have one of their assignments on the lecture topic, so that they really listen and really get into it, and that's a 15% of their assessment is the Bible College lecture. So it's really great.
Yeah, that's a Christian?
Oh yeah,
college,
oh yeah.
But they're in Palestine.
They're Palestinian Christians. Yeah, they're Arab Christians. Yeah, it's fantastic. Very oppressed. They're oppressed within Palestine, let alone within Israel. So, no, it's a really difficult. If you had time and if security was better, there's an amazing place called the Tent of Nations just outside of Hebron that the Israelis have just blocked off. They've got to walk to their property because they've taken over the roads, and it's just crazy. It's really crazy. So it's a very informative, challenging day. And if you don't really know a whole lot about the Israeli-Palestinian kind of situation, I suggest you kind of do a little bit of reading. I've got a couple of little booklets that the Palestinians have given me that I can send you a PDF copy called Palestine: A Christian Perspective, and it'll give you a little bit more information. It does pay to be prepared. Here's another great day. So back into Jerusalem. So again, Jerusalem is your base now. This particular day you're going to be driving south along the Dead Sea. You're going to Qumran. You already would have seen the Dead Sea Scrolls in the Israeli Museum, but now you're actually going to see the caves where the scrolls were hidden. They weren't discovered until the 1950s, so it's quite remarkable. 40s. 47. Quite remarkable. And there's also this kind of cult that came out of this area, and they had some really bizarre kind of teachings and theologies that will be unpacked while you're there. Then you can continue on for a bit of fun along the Dead Sea to the En Gedi Spring, and then you go up to Masada, which is another amazing site where you go by cable car up to the top. Crazy Herod, wasn't he a nutcase? Built this fortress up there and a palace, and it's just spectacular. A really impressive experience. And then, of course, you've got to do the obligatory float in the Dead Sea, which is like keep your mouth firmly shut because that water is terrible. It's very salty. I know, you roll around like a whale. It's very funny. It's very funny. So good laugh.
So is the mud or stuff there next to you?
Yes, you smother yourself in mud, you do all that crazy stuff. Buy all the products, yeah. Anti-aging, the sales pitches are hilarious. Yes, that's right. And then you drive all the way down. So you go all the way along the Dead Sea to the Red Sea, and you hit the town of Eilat. And Eilat is like the Gold Coast of Israel. It's the Portsea. It's the Portsea / Gold Coast of Israel. Yeah, on that map it's not even there. It's down here. It's right down the bottom. So you're travelling all through the Judean desert to Eilat. I really like this. So the last trip that I did to Israel, I wanted to see whether it was worth going all the way down to Eilat, and it's totally worth it. Then on the Wednesday, so Eilat will be your base. You'll go to the Timna National Park, which is just a 20-minute drive north of Eilat. And what they've done there is they have built a model of the tabernacle to the exact proportions that were outlined in Leviticus. So it's hilarious. It's amazing. And it's not real gold, it's spray paint.
You can't touch it?
Oh, it's so funny. You get to go into the Holy of Holies. It's so weird. You're like, I shouldn't be in here. It's really funny. They don't even tie a rope around your ankle or anything. And hopefully there's this amazing Kiwi lady who's the guide there. She knows her stuff and she's just an incredible guide. Always obviously very excited to have Australians and New Zealanders come down there. But it's a bit of a find. I kind of heard about it and I actually went and had a look at it because I had the Reformed Theological College going over for a study tour. And they said, oh, you know, is it worth going to this model of the tabernacle? And I thought, oh, I don't know. It's only what I've read. So I actually made the effort to go and have a look at it because I thought I'd die if I send 40 kids down there with a lecturer and it's rubbish. So we went, Serge and I went, and we thought it was amazing. But, you know, we get excited very easily. So I came back and I said to them, I think it's pretty impressive. I hope that you guys think that it's worthwhile. So we included it in the itinerary. While they came back, they were raving about it. Did you get down there? No. So this is all new territory for you? Good. So that's just a short drive in the morning. You do the model of the tabernacle and then you head back to Eilat. And I've basically kept the afternoon free because Eilat is a very modern resort city. You can go and book a table at a waterside restaurant and have a nice fish lunch and a bottle of white wine and enjoy the sunshine. There's really good shopping, really good shopping there. There's also like a beachside sort of day resort where you can go and swim with dolphins and do all this, and there's an aquarium and there's lots. It's very sort of resorty seaside. So it's a bit of a half day of rest in Eilat that afternoon. Then the next morning you get up and you drive from Eilat to the Arava border. Basically Eilat is the border on the Red Sea between Egypt, Jordan and Israel. So you've got the three borders all kind of in that tip. It's a very easy border crossing. There is a walk though. This is where you've got to carry your bags. Yeah. It's only like 200 metres. It's not far. So you basically do your immigration and then you walk across and then the Jordanians will be waiting for you on the other side. And then they will drive you to Wadi Rum. Have you heard of Wadi Rum? This is Lawrence of Arabia territory. It's incredible. It's like going to the moon, but cheaper. So this is the kind of landscape that you experience. And they basically, when you get there, they put you in a jeep. They drive around like maniacs and go through the sand dunes and scare the bejeepers out of you. They stop and have tea. They take you to the sites where the 1964 Lawrence of Arabia film was shot. It's really cool. It's actually really cool. You see the village. You have a bit of a Bedouin experience and a tea ceremony and a few other bits and bobs. And then you stay in a camp that night. So it's a tented camp. It's rustic. It's under the stars. They'll light the fire. They'll get the oud out and play songs. Well, my tent had a bathroom. So I was pretty happy with that.
You sold that.
Yeah, it's glamping. It's glamping.
Both the males and females were separated when I went to the Bedouin camp last year.
This not so much. No, if you're travelling as a couple, you'll be together. But it's a really good night. You sit around the campfire singing songs and they dance and clap and you just go nuts. It's great fun. It's really great fun. Then the next morning, it's just a short drive, maybe an hour, to Petra. So you'll get up, check out and drive to Petra and you'll have the whole day at Petra. Now Petra is one of those places where some people only go as far as sort of the monastery. And then they go back. Others, you know, depends on kind of what floats your boat, whether or not you're going to be there for 3 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours. It's up to you. It's completely fine. But it is spectacular. Getting to that treasury, you walk through the Seek, which is a rock carving kind of, you know, narrow passage, and you come out, and that is what you see. Indiana Jones, eat your heart out. It's incredible. This is one of the 7 wonders of the world. And you can't go to the Middle East and not go to Petra. I don't know how you did it last time, Ian. It wasn't an option. So it's really fantastic. So that's the treasury on the left and the monastery on the right. So again, big day of walking. Obviously, if it's warm, you're going to have to take precautions as far as hats and drinks and things like that. There's a lot of gypsy kids driving you crazy trying to sell you stuff. There's donkeys, there's carts, there's carriages, there's horses. You know, you'll be okay. Basically, from when you get off the bus at the entrance and pay, once they've paid for you to get in, there's a free horse from the entrance to the Seek. Once you get to the Seek, which is the narrow thing, you've got to get off the horse.
But is it,
It's free.
I mean, is it like a pulled by a horse? Or you're actually
No, you're on a horse. You're on a horse. And it's the sickest, skinniest horse you'll ever see in your life.
You
So you
just,
don't- you
just
Personally, I wouldn't bother.
That's what I was gonna say, you don't have to do it and you can just walk.
No. Most people, when they get there, they're really excited and they just want to get walking, and you're actually doing the poor dying horse a favour. When you get sort of past, you got to tip everyone. This is the problem. When you get to the monastery, it's a fair way down. Often then the walk back, because it's kind of one way in and one way out. Once you've just sort of seen everything, then you got to kind of like, where's the horse? But here they have carriages, so they have a horse with a surrey with the fringe on top at the back, and it's about $10, $10 US, and so you can get 2 or 3 people in it, and you can get a carriage back.
And you don't do the night thing with Petra?
It's optional. It's not included, but you can go back at night.
I looked on TripAdvisor, it was only certain days that it does.
Oh, the light show, you mean? Yeah. It won't.
It didn't tie up with this.
I'm not sure if it's happening at that time of the year, but we find usually when you're there all day,
You've had enough.
yeah, and you've got to, where you're staying, they've actually upgraded this group, which is great. They've upgraded you to the Petra Marriott, which is a 5-star hotel, and it's set up on a hill, and you've got an incredible view of the whole of Petra at night. So it's I think you're going to be okay. The next morning you have basically a 5 o'clock flight out of Amman. And Petra to Amman is a 3-hour drive. So you've basically got all day to kind of get back. Yeah, 5 p.m. 5 p.m. Oh, no. Oh, my gosh. Ross, surely you know me better than that. I would never do that
I'm
to
getting to
you.
know you well.
So it's a 3-hour drive, but we do stop along the way. We stop at Madaba, which is the site where there's a very old, probably the first map of Jerusalem ever, that people like to stop and have a look at. And we also climb up, we're doing it in the wrong order, but we also go up to Mount Nebo, where Moses first viewed the Promised Land, and that is his resting site. So it's a good way to kind of farewell the Promised Land before you go to the airport and depart. So it's a fantastic trip.
amazing.
It's a big loop, basically, all the way around. So your flight gets back on the 22nd of May at 1 a.m, which you may be cursing me for, but it's actually brilliant because you'll go home and you'll sleep solidly till 10 o'clock the next morning.
And obviously you can join and leave at the start and finish. of
Yes,
the-
so let me talk about that now. So the tour price is $6,999 all inclusive. So airfares and everything else. If you're travelling on your own and you want your own room, there's a single room supplement of $17.99. If you want to do your own thing and you just want to buy the tour only, it's $48.99. The problem with the tour only option is that we don't want people going off and buying their airfares until we know that this tour is definitely going. So you need to kind of wait. We're holding a group booking with Emirates, so the $6,999 is guaranteed. And you can extend and do other things with that, but I don't want you to go off and buy an early bird airfare on the assumption that the tour is going ahead. We've only got 6 people booked so far, and we need more than that. Once we've got the minimum, we'll let everyone know that we're ready to go.
What's your minimum, Lisa?
The minimum is 20.
So we've got 19 on if everyone signs up.
Yeah, if everyone signs up, I'm not worried about it. I actually think it's tracking
Yeah, that's good.
quite okay. But I don't want you to go out and buy a non-refundable El Cheapo early bird airfare in the next 3 weeks and then you're stuck. So the other good thing about buying the $6,999 is that because we have a group airfare, we pay a $150, $200 deposit per person to the airline for the seats. Up till 60 days before departure, we can say all bets are off. We have a relationship with Emirates where they don't keep the deposit, they roll it onto another one of our groups. So if war breaks out, if things go crazy, something happens, you're not stuck with your bargain of the century airfare that you no longer can use, that's non-refundable or has a $900 cancellation fee or whatever. So just bear that in mind when you're discerning what to do, that there's flexibility in the 699, there's freedom in the 6999, but that's entirely up to you. But please don't book your airfare independently until we know that the tour is definitely going ahead. Otherwise you'll be going to Oman all by yourself.
How much extra is the business class?
Yeah, about 5.
5 extra.
Yep, that's off the top of my head. Yep,
I might just look at it.
yes.
Yep, it's great being here. It's great. It'll be a fantastic
Well done,
trip.
Steve.
Thank you,
Yes.
Stephen. All the best for
Thanks.
tomorrow.
Thanks.
Take care. We'll see you soon.
Sorry, Peter, I missed your question.
No, I asked how much extra the business class airfare was.
The problem is, Peter, that there's a lack of competition, obviously, to Oman. If you're business class to London, you've got 25 airlines. Business class to Oman, you've got 3. So,
Although you can do business to Dubai.
yeah,
and
you
then-
can do
and
that,
then
mixed.
economy.
Yep, there's
That
options.
works
There's
really
options.
well.
Yeah, it does
Cheaper.
works really well because the Dubai to Oman flight's only a 3-hour flight,
That's a good
so
idea.
it's an option.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. I'll send
Or
you that.
points, yeah. So what it includes, Mission Travel always try to include as much as possible. We don't like to do the whole, oh, that's not included, sorry about that, extra, pass the kitty around. So it includes your airfares, it includes 15 nights accommodation in the hotels. It's all 4-star hotels, 5-star in Petra. The camp is not 4-star, it's a camp. Breakfast and dinner is included daily. And, you know, that doesn't stop you. If you're an adventurer, like we're foodies, we like to kind of get out there. Look, dinner at the hotel, to be realistic, it's $20, $20 a night. You know, don't kind of stay and eat the buffet every night. If you want to go out and experience other things, it's $20. Just go do it. Just go. Don't tell Steve I said that. The coaches are beautiful. They're all new. A lot of them have Wi-Fi. Just need to move the snib on the bottom of the door. Yeah. A lot of the buses will have Wi-Fi, so you can post on Facebook and do all those things. We'll pick you up from the airport if you're on the airfare package, or if you're on the same flights, we'll of course pick you up. As I said, licensed local guides throughout. So the local guides, what we do is we tell them that we are a largely Christian group with a Christian guide from Australia, and that the local guide is there to teach us about the geopolitical sites, and we leave the Bible significant sites to our pastor, because they've often got this orthodox, they've often got these weird or Catholic or weird ideas about things, so we try and sort of, it's always interesting. And as I said, Stephen, and if we get the numbers, Melinda from Alpha will also be your guides from Australia. All of your costs of all of the sites that we've mentioned are included. Your meals are included, as I said, breakfast and dinner, and I'm pretty sure there's a fish lunch in there as well. And tips for the guides and drivers are all included. We've factored them in. And your visa for Jordan, if you're on the airfare included, you get your visa included. So the way that it works is that on arrival in Jordan, you need a visa. It's $60. So if you're flying in as a group, there'll be a group visa manifest that's already done and it's paid for. And all you need to do is, there'll be someone from our ground operator on the air side, as they call it. So when you get off the aircraft, there'll be someone standing there saying Mission Travel, Footsteps of Jesus, and they will guide you through immigration. They've got all the paperwork. You don't have to do anything. Brilliant. Then when you come back, when you cross at Eilat and you're in Wadi Rum and Petra, because you're in Jordan and you're travelling as a group for 2 nights, you don't need a visa. So we've only got 1 visa cost for Jordan, which is great.
So, do you get the visas?
Yeah, we do the visas for the group.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you need all our passport details?
Yes, we do.
before.
Yes.
I think we sent it.
Yeah.
Sent it.
So what's not included? We don't include lunch because buffet breakfast every morning, buffet dinner at night. It's just the food tour. So a lot of people don't need a huge amount of lunch. Other people really like lunch. So we just have a lunch break, and you can choose according to what your kind of personal interest is with regards to lunch. Drinks are not included. There'll be tea and coffee and stuff at breakfast and juice and stuff like that, but alcohol and soft drinks and coffees along the way are extra. And then just personal expenses if you want to have your laundry done in the hotel. Most of the hotels have free Wi-Fi. It's usually pretty darn slow, but it's free Wi-Fi. You might be out in the lobby doing this. And of course your shopping is a personal expense that you need to budget for.
Most of a lot of I mean, we've just got back from Iceland and Eastern Europe, and like just about every single restaurant's got free Wi-Fi.
Yes. Yeah, it's pretty,
Is it
Yeah,
similar?
yeah. It's not difficult.
No.
Most hotels and even the bus will often have free Wi-Fi, so you're not going to feel disconnected. It just might be a bit slow. It's not Australian standards as such.
Would the buses have water on them or not?
The bus driver has a second business, which is a water business.
$1 US.
$1 a bottle, exactly right, Ian. He has a little esky up the front and he takes $1 for a bottle of water. It's just so convenient. It's hilariously fun as well. Obviously, if you're choosing to extend, any extra travel is not included and your travel insurance is not included. So the hotels, the first 4 nights you have in Nofginisar in Tiberias. Now, as I said, Nofginisar is an old kibbutz. There's only 6 fully functioning kibbutz still operating in Israel. So this is one of the ones that stopped operating as a kibbutz and is now operating as a hotel. It has a hotel, which as you can see there, to be honest, it's a bit more like a motel. But they're all renovated. The rooms are really nice, spacious, light-filled. It's right on the Sea of Galilee. So it's I actually prefer it to some of our tours. We put in the city of Tiberias, which is a really cheesy Gold Coast 40 years ago kind of thing. Whereas this is a bit more rustic and a bit more Big Four holiday park, but with a nice hotel attached. So they have the hotel and then they have the holiday villas. So you're in the hotel. I think it's great. For me personally, I think it's the nicest place to stay in the Galilee. But it is quite rustic and, it's not 4-star opulence. It's 4-star in that it's got a tennis court, it's got a swimming pool, it's got the facilities. And the meals are actually really good there too. And then you've got 6 nights at the Olive Tree. The olive tree is fantastic. As you can see, they've got a really old, gnarly olive tree right in the middle of the dining room. And when dinner is served, all of that area where the chairs are is food. The food is really, really good at the Olive Tree. It's very fresh and the rooms are really nicely appointed. And the main reason we use it is because of its really good location. So there's
The Annapolis Road near the American colony.
right across from the American colony. So there's 4 hotels in a row. There's the Olive Tree, the Leonardo, the Grand Court, and one other. Can't remember the name of the other one. I've stayed at the Grand Court and the Olive Tree and the Leonardo. The Olive Tree is the one that's got the most, it's got the most soul. It's got a nice feel. It's warm. It's got lots of timber, and as you can see, they've used sandstone. It's nicely done.
Area in Jerusalem.
I love the area.
Fantastic,
And you feel safe to walk around at night. That's the most important thing if you wanted to. And as I say, the American Colony Hotel, which is the Raffles Hotel of Jerusalem, it's got a beautiful old history. Fantastic place for a single malt at the end of the day. Like, it's just beautiful. Beautiful hotel. Then when you go down to Eilat, as I said, it's very Gold Coast. You can see there, you probably won't be using the pool. Oh no, you will be using the pool. This is May. Yes, you'll be using the pool. So it's got that oasis type vibe to it, the desert and the palms and right on the Red Sea. Like, the marina is just outside the hotel. It's in a fantastic location. And here's the desert camp. So you can see that it's this sort of coarse fabric, hemp type fabric tents. And then there's a huge dining area. They have a big, if the weather's good, they'll have a big outdoor fire pit and you sit around and have drinks and sing.
This is
And,
where we are, the desert camp.
yeah,
This is the one with the elaborate bathroom, Elizabeth.
yes, very elaborate. No, it's fine. It's completely fine. And then the last night, have a look at that. Bugger.
Wow. Yeah.
One night. Shame it's not longer at the Petra Marriott. Beautiful hotel. Don't know how we managed that, but it's good. Happy days. The food is a massive highlight. Middle Eastern food is phenomenal. Just to get you, this was on the left, this was our lunch. This is Serge and I. This is lunch for 2 people at Mount Carmel just coming out of Mount Carmel, and that was $12 each, and it was ridiculous. So there's hummus, there's cabbage, there's falafel, there's olives, there's tabbouleh, there's bread, there's more tabbouleh, there's tomato and capsicum, there's chicken, there's tahini, there's that Russian salad that they call the Israeli salad, potato and mayonnaise. That's a typical lunch. Crazy. And then this is the old city in Jerusalem. There's just market stalls everywhere. There's just strawberries, and then there's bananas, and then there's avocados, and there's olives, and there's spices like pyramids. It's fantastic. So they eat a lot of fresh. The food is very fresh. They eat salad for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Like, it's so weird. If you're an Aussie, you go to breakfast, you don't get fruit, you get salad. But there's plenty to choose from if you're gluten intolerant or any of that kind of stuff. If you're allergic to cucumber, you're in big trouble. I actually have had several clients that are allergic to cucumber. So you can see the different foods. Yeah. In the hotels they do Western food. Croissants? Don't know. I'm a when in Rome kind of eater. I have hummus for breakfast, so I don't know if there's croissants. But I think the food's a huge highlight. So extras, things that are above the tour price that you need to budget for. Just to give you an idea with travel insurance, we use 3 different travel insurance products here. I did a price check on them all earlier today, and SureSave is the most competitive to the Middle East at the moment. So for a 55-year-old for this tour, from the 5th to the 22nd of May, the insurance will be $227. That includes a 20% discount from us. And for a 65-year-old, it's slightly higher at $266. So insurance is worked on how long you're going away for, how old you are, and what medical conditions you have. There's a whole heap of medical conditions that is on in the brochure there. The brochure's there that are automatically covered. So blood pressure, high cholesterol, all that kind of stuff is stock standard. Every second person's got those conditions and they are automatically covered. If you have a medical condition that's outside of that, or you've had procedures or issues in the last 12 months, you'll need to apply for what's called a pre-existing medical condition. It's very easy. They're all beating each other over, what's included, what's not included. We had the SureSave lady in the other day, and they're now covering cancer if you've been in remission for 3 years, and, they didn't cover cancer ever. So things are becoming a bit more relaxed, which is great. But that just gives you an idea from a budgeting point of view. For budgeting for meals that are not mentioned, as I said, it's really only lunch. We try very, very diligently to tell our tour group, tour operators, and we've been doing this for 10 years and they still don't listen, that Australians do not need to sit down and eat in a restaurant and have a $25 meal for lunch. We're happy with a Vegemite sandwich, but they don't get it. So Stephen will have to continually remind them that we're happy to have, we just say, just give us a falafel, which is a wrap, so flatbread with chicken or falafel or salad in a wrap. Maximum $10 with a drink. We have to keep telling them. Because of this hospitality bug that they've got, they want to give you the best of everything all of the time.
I think the food with them, enormous at lunchtime.
Enormous! It's like that Mount Carmel lunch. It was $12 for all of that food. And you walk away and half of it's not touched. It's a crime. But, you can only eat so much. And as I've said, the meals are huge. Huge! So if you're travelling as a couple, order one. You'll be fine with one. Yeah, seriously. Drinks are on par with Australia, slightly cheaper. A beer is $3 or $4. A glass of wine is $6 to $8 US. It's about what we pay here. Spending money depends on how crazy you are and how nuts you go. So that's a hard one to predict. Passports and visas. No visa is required to enter Israel, and you may have heard over the years that if you get an Israeli stamp in your passport, it can, pretty much null and voids your passport. You can't hardly travel anywhere. They no longer do that. It's all electronic, and so there are no stamps in your passport anymore. We used to do this role play of how to ask for a loose leaf stamp on a separate piece of paper, and all the things that they would say to you and what you would respond with. We don't have to do any of that anymore, which is great. And as I said earlier, the visa for Jordan is included in the tour if you're travelling with the group. If not, you need to budget $60 US for the visa on arrival. all passports must be valid for at least 6 months after your return date. So they need to be valid until at least September. No, it's more than that. November. Yeah, I thought that afterwards. I thought that's not right. So May, June, July, August, September, October, November. So it needs to be at least the 22nd of November. Otherwise, unfortunately, you have to get a new passport. You only get 9.5 years out of your passport. As we've already said, if you'd like your own room, you need to pay the single room supplement, which is pretty hefty. It's $17.99. But we can attempt to match you up with someone of the same gender if you want to share and if there is someone available. So it's just a matter of we just do a bit of an intro and you call each other and find out. The last time I did this in Sydney, I said, find out whether they've got a sleep apnea machine. And sure enough, the guy said, I've got a sleep apnea machine.
And if there's no one available,
then you have to pay the singles up. Yeah. Or occasionally, particularly with females, we've done triple share.
Right.
Yeah. And that's fine in the Middle East. In Europe, it's a bit more difficult because the hotel rooms are a lot smaller and it's not very fun.
You're going with that, Peter.
Oh, there's always,
You're negotiating.
you know what the law's like.
How about him?
Obviously, we can help you with any travel arrangements before or after the tour. We really like to encourage you, and this isn't just a marketing pitch, but we really like to encourage you to book your whole holiday with us because if something happens, there's often a domino effect. Yep. So if there's an airline schedule change or something happens somewhere, if we know the big picture and we're managing the whole booking, it's just going to be a lot less stressful for you. But we equally respect if you've already got a travel agent that you use or you like to book it online, that's fine. But we find that it's a lot easier if you do the whole thing with us. So if you want to go on to Europe afterwards, that's completely fine. There's multiple ways that we can do that for you. We can fly you direct from Amman to London, or you can go back with the group to Dubai and then continue on with Emirates. There's many ways. If you want to do a stop on the way home in Hong Kong or Singapore or Bangkok or Japan or go via America, anything is doable.
Directly to Italy or Paris from where were we leaving
From Amman,
Amman?
possibly. Royal Jordanian is a good airline. I think if you're going to use the Emirates package, you're better off actually still transiting Dubai. It's on the way. It's not like you're going backwards to go forwards. And it's a pretty easy transition. But yeah, we'll look at it for you and give you some options. Turkish Airlines is another good option. They're a really good airline and they fly from Amman via Istanbul into Europe. But if you're doing that whole ex-Australia, the more you have on the international ticket, the more cost effective it is, generally speaking. Yeah. So if you're interested in booking, obviously all you need to do is complete a booking form, which is down the end there. It's called a registration form. That just asks us for your details to make sure that the trip goes well. The most important thing is that we get your name as it is in your passport. You pay a $500 deposit to secure your place on the tour. And then, I've done a typo there, but we're really encouraging people, if you're really keen to do it, book in so that we can let everyone know we've hit our minimum numbers. People can go off and do their flights and book the things that they need to do. Otherwise, there's phone calls and people going back and forth. Have we met the numbers yet? It can be a bit challenging. And then nothing to pay until the 6th of February. I will give you a caveat there in that sometimes if we don't meet minimum numbers, let's say we get to 16 and we've got 16 people chomping at the bit, what we will often do is say, okay, there's a special airfare that's come out, let's all buy that airfare and it'll reduce the tour price by $200 and that'll offset the cost of not meeting the minimum number for the tour. So we often have to do some creative mixing. Or we might, you know how there's a free day in Jerusalem on the Saturday? We might say, we haven't got the minimum number, we're going to chop the free day. That saves us a night's accommodation and other bits and bobs. And we leave a day early, we move everything forward by a day. And that way we don't change the cost of the tour. Or we say, we've got 16 people, it's an extra $150 a head. Or there are many ways that we can kind of work it. But we need to get a quorum before we can start working that out. Okay, thanks for coming. As I said, pre-departure, we usually meet about a month before and we kind of go through a lot of this stuff again, but we talk more specifically about money, weather, what to pack, You obviously get to meet the people that are going on the trip. You know, they're different questions that you have to ask. Pauline is the consultant that's looking after you. There she is on the screen. So she is the lady that will be looking after your reservations and all your extensions and bits and pieces. That's it.
Thank you. I'm pretty keen.
Good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any questions?
A little bit. Can I use the bathroom?
Yes.
See you, Ross. See you, Peter.
Let me just pause this.
I must admit, I flew with you people